This next case crossed county lines. Detectives from New-Hanover-County Sheriff's Office and the Brunswick-County Sheriff's Office are trying to figure out what happened to a woman who went missing in 1995. What happened to Julia Rodriguez remains unsolved.
She was very petite. She was only about 4 feet 8 inches tall.
Julia Rodriguez didn't stand very tall, but she was known to stand her ground.
She was described as somebody who would not take disrespect from anybody without letting them know. She kind of stood up for herself and her daughter.
Mary Doncourt, a civilian investigative specialist with the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, says in 1995, Rodriguez lived in a trailer park on Village Road near Navassa with a 12-year-old she took in at a young age.
She'd been in Brunswick County for about, 6 years, 7 years.
Doncourt says on October 28, 1995, Rodriguez and the 12-year-old were at home.
She told the 12-year-old that she was going to the store, would be back shortly.
To the food line at Leland to get lettuce and tomatoes.
And was never seen again.
As the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office began an extensive search looking for Rodriguez, the New-Hanover-County Sheriff's Office got a phone call.
On November 3rd, 1995, Julia's vehicle was found burned in a wooded area in the Castle Hayne area off Blue Clay Road.
Detective Nicholas Lee with the New-Hanover County Sheriff's Office says a hunter found Julia's green 1980 Datsun hatchback.
About where that pine tree that's fallen over.
The vehicle was burned extensively. There were no remains found in the vehicle.
Lee says Julia's disappearance turned into a murder investigation.
Throughout the course of the investigation, there have been several people of interest identified. Suspects were developed early on, but no arrests have ever been made.
Lee says something happened before Rodriguez disappeared.
Somebody, we don't know who, appeared to have it out for Julia.
He says her car was vandalized several times within a year of her disappearance.
Her tires were slashed. Sugar was put in her fuel tank. At one point, the brake lines were cut, which almost caused her and her daughter to get into a wreck when driving down the road.
Lee says whatever happened to Rodriguez was not random.
We think it's a personal attack towards Julia, but we've not been able to make an arrest.
But he says they have not stopped searching.
In April of 2019, the New-Hanover County Sheriff's Office, with the assistance of Brunswick County Search and Rescue, went to an area in Castle Hayne and conducted an investigation, a search.
Lee says they used heavy equipment, dogs, and dozens of people.
We're not able to locate Julia's remains at this time.
Now they need your help.
If anybody has any information on Julia or knows anything about what may have happened to her, has heard rumors throughout the years, we'd like to know any of that. Anything, how minute you may think it is, would be very beneficial.
Anything that could help bring justice for Julia and closure for her daughter. I mean, what's it been like for her?
Difficult. She was only a child. She has children of her own now, so she said she understands what being a mom is far more than she did when she was 12 years old.
That's why detectives from both agencies will continue standing up for the mother who can no longer stand her ground.
This was the mother of a young girl, and we fight for the victim, so we want to find Julia and bring a resolution to this case.
A resolution to the disappearance and possible murder of Julia Rodriguez. If you have any information, please contact the New-Hanover County Sheriff's Office. Also in Brunswick County, it may be one of the most well-known and horrific unsolved cases in the Cape Fear. A 23-year-old mother of 2 brutally killed in her home in the middle of the day with her son in the room. On February 23, 1987, Beverly J. Potter Mintz was at home with her 2-year-old son when her mom took Mintz's 4-year-old son to run some errands. When Mintz's mom returned to the house, she noticed the door was unlocked, which was odd. Detectives with the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office say Mintz was found brutally murdered, stabbed numerous times, and her throat had been cut. If you have any information, please call the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office. In Wallace, a man shot and killed in the middle of a strong storm in 2015. A look at what happened to Michael Lamb at a convenience store and who called 911. In Pender County, a woman is looking for answers in her grandmother's death. It's a dark memory for Amber Moretti as she searches for the truth in Annie Anderson's death. It happened on August 18, 2014. Moretti says she and her 2 daughters went to pick Anderson up to take her out to eat. When they arrived, Moretti says the house off Morgan Road was dark and there was broken glass by the front door. She called 911 and waited for deputies to arrive.
When they arrived, they went into the house and found Mrs. Anderson inside, deceased.
When they actually opened the door is when I saw her feet, and that's all I'm glad I ever did see.
Detectives believe Anderson opened the door to whoever shot her. Investigators also say there were signs that someone had been looking for something. Some family heirlooms were never found, including very old jewelry. If you have any information, please contact the Pender County Sheriff's Office. In Bladen County, a 20-year-old woman was killed just minutes after asking for help. What happened to Amber Babson on September 14, 2008 remains unsolved. Captain Morgan Johnson with the Bladen County Sheriff's Office says Babson and some of her friends went to a juke joint on Pleasant Garden Road the night of September 13th. When they left around 2 o'clock in the morning, he says Babson decided not to ride with her friends and started walking down the road. Johnson says Babson knocked on someone's door to ask for help, but while the homeowner called 911, Babson continued walking.
She was struck by someone and was killed there. Another vehicle left the juke joint and was struck, ran over her, and then stopped and realized what had happened and then called law enforcement.
Johnson says detectives are still looking for the driver of the first car. If you have any information, please call the Bladen County Sheriff's Office. The Wallace Police Department is looking for answers in a murder that happened in the middle of a power outage from a strong storm in 2015. Rosetta Lamb says on October 4th, 2015, her nephew, Michael Lamb, had gone to the Fast Lane convenience store on NC 41 and saw a Duke Energy employee working on the power line. Lamb says Michael started chatting with him, and then detectives say around 10:30 p.m., Michael was shot. That's when the Duke Energy employee called 911.
A man down been shot. Come now. Where is he at? On the ground in front of me.
It was also raining that Sunday night. I'll never forget it. And to see the puddle of blood on the ground where my nephew was laying dying, and there's nothing you can do but ask why.
Detectives with the Wallace Police Department say there was another homicide that happened that morning, so resources were really stretched thin for the day. They now know the 2 murders were not connected. If you have any information, please call the Wallace Police Department. We have one more case to show you, but this one is no longer unsolved. We'll show you what happened when someone called in an anonymous tip about a man who had been missing for more than 20 years.